So I just finished the latest season of Bleach 1000-Year Blood War, and I also rewatched some of JJK recently, and I can't lie, there are way too many similarities between the two, and some are too hard to ignore, like cursed spirits and hollows, a main character who gains powers from a special being inside of him, a secret society that protects the rest of the world even though that world cannot even see these creatures. This is not just a coincidence. So did JJK copy Bleach, or am I just reaching too hard for a comparison and trying to find some context? Let's first start with how both worlds are set up, because this is where things get very similar. In Bleach, you got Soul Reapers who fight Hollows, which are spiritual beings that prey on the living. And then in JJK, you got Jujutsu sorcerers that fight cursed spirits, which are also spiritual beings that prey on the living. Like, we have one comparison and the concept of the show is already very similar. But let's keep going, because each show also has a massive hidden world behind what regular people see. Like, no regular person can see these cursed spirits, no regular person can see the Hollows. Only the Soul Reapers and sorcerers can see what the spiritual beings. So that's already a good comparison. And then we have the main character of the show. They both get thrust into a world that had no prior knowledge of and no powers before to begin with. Like, Ichigo gets Rukia's sword, and then we have Yuji swallowing Sukuna's finger. Pause, you know what I'm saying? But that's already a crazy comparison. Like, how are we not supposed to compare them? Like, they're very similar. Since we're already talking about the main character, let's just continue on, because Ichigo and Itadori are already very similar in structure. Both are physically gifted, they gain spiritual powers practically overnight, they're protecting people from spiritual beings that only they can see, and both share a body with the ancient being. Like, Ichigo shares a body with the Hollow, and then Itadori shares a body with Sukuna. Like, those are both ancient beings. Like, Sukuna and the Hollow feel like an untapped, it's like a side character villain to the main character, but like an untapped version of that. They don't help out of kindness, they're along for the ride to see what the fuck is gonna happen. Like, when they do a takeover, it's only in the moment of a complete crisis. Like Yuji versus Mahito, Sukuna pops up because he knew Yuji could not handle it. And then Ichigo versus Ukiura. The Hollow Ichigo pops out and takes control. Like, you can't tell me both those scenes don't feel like the exact same thing. Even the power systems low-key line up. Like, cursed energy in JJK, that's spiritual pressure in Bleach. Domain expansions and Bunkai, you know, they're not the exact same thing, but they have that same role. The cinematic transformation moment. Like, when you hear Bunkai or domain expansion, you know shit is about to go crazy. Like, they don't just throw those around in fights. They're built up, anticipated, and when they drop, they're a whole event. Like, people have waited years to see Kenpachi's Bunkai, or you waited so many weeks just to see, yo, what's Sukuna's domain expansion? Like, both these shows have god tier showcases because the similarities in power system are on another level on how close they are. It's like, domain expansion is generally like Bunkai in my opinion. Now, the moment you all been waiting for, let's talk about Gojo. And I'm gonna be honest, he doesn't have an exact copy of one character from Bleach, but he is a mix of a few characters. Urahara, Aizen, and Yoruichi, like, all in one. Like, Aizen and Gojo, he's the strongest in the verse. Urahara and Gojo, the teacher. And then Yoruichi being like, he's cool and he has that swag to him. Like, Yoruichi is a cool character. But most importantly, they're a walking spectacle. Like, every Bleach fan has lost their mind when they first seen Aizen go crazy. Like, no one expected that shit to happen. And then JJK lost their mind waiting for Gojo to say his domain expansion and be like limitless, bro. So they're both designed to be like that untouchable and most cocky character in the entire show, and no one can compete with them. Like Aizen, Gojo, you know what I mean? They're very similar. Since we're already talking about Aizen, let's talk about the villains, because Aizen and Mahito, they might not look the same, but they have very similar roles and are very identical in a way. Like, they both experiment on humans, they both think they're gods in their verse, they manipulate the system from the inside, and are both obsessed with evolution. Like, Mahito constantly wants to get souls and constantly evolve, And then we have Aizen trying to transcend all the limits in the entire verse. And then we also have Kenjaku. Like, that man is basically a person, if you would put Kuratsuchi and Aizen fused together, body hopping, long-term schemes. Like, Kuratsuchi is always 10 steps ahead, and Kenjaku was the same way. Like, I'm not talking about a ghetto, obviously, rest in peace. That was one of my favorite characters in the show. But Kenjaku, that man is too smart. So a lot of the villains are the same. Like I said, with Sukuna and a Hollow, you know, Sukuna was obviously a main villain in the show. And then we have the Hollow was a main villain to Ichigo. So, you know, a lot of things are carrying like the same flow. You want to know what really ties this shit together though? The themes, because both shows are built around one core key idea: fighting for a world that doesn't even know you exist. In Bleach, Soul Reapers protect the world in secret, and then in JJK, sorcerers fight spirits and curse spirits in the shadows. Like, both main characters also didn't ask to be heroes. They got dragged into it, and then they just had to accept it. And then they had to deal with that loneliness, that whole responsibility on their shoulders, the weight of having power in a world that they didn't even know existed. That's legit Bleach and JJK to a T and to a standpoint. Like, that is very similar in my opinion. And honestly, maybe that's what makes this conversation or debate so important, because Bleach walked so JJK could run, because Bleach made spiritual battle shonen so mainstream, and JJK modernized that. They refined it and push it to another level, or people are glazing Gojo to some crazy extent. But Bleach was the raw, uncut version of the 2000 animes. And then we have JJK with that same feel, that same emotion, but it's polished with the 2020s production and pacing. So it just goes to the next level of what you want to see. Now, before you JJK fans come for me for this video, JJK is actually ranked higher than Bleach in my opinion as one of my favorite animes of all time. So yes, I really enjoy JJK. It's such a good and unique anime. And I'm not sitting here saying that Gege Akutami was sitting there copying every Bleach panel by panel, you know. But let's be honest, you cannot create a modern supernatural battle anime shonen without Bleach being a part of your DNA, because Bleach was like one of the founding fathers of spiritual being anime. So you can clearly see that JJK is influenced by the big three: the art style, the structure, the tone. It's like JJK if Bleach met early Naruto with modern animation and a darker vibe. But would y'all call that copying, or is that an evolution and how they revolutionized their own anime? So if you're asking me to answer the question of the video, did JJK copy Bleach? No, it didn't. But it definitely owes Bleach a lot. It's like Bleach is the big brother and JJK is that flashy new sibling who took everything from the old generation and added its own flavor to make it its own unique thing. So if you like JJK, you need to thank Bleach, because without it, there would be no blueprint for Jujutsu Kaisen, and there probably wouldn't exist the exact same. So what do y'all think? Did JJK borrow too much from Bleach, or did it copy Bleach? Like, what's your opinion? So let me know in the comments, you know what I'm saying? And if you made it this far in the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and let me know how you enjoyed this video and if I should make more like this. And is Bleach and JJK, which one y'all have better? So let me know in the comments, because honestly, JJK in my opinion is better, a flashy, better version of Bleach. So let me know.